10 daily habits every woman must master. Every day you wake up with a choice to merely exist or to live, not just live, but rise, claim space, speak truth, and move through the world with unapologetic courage. This isn't about being perfect. This is about being whole. Today, I want to share with you 10 daily habits every woman must master, not for the world, not for applause, but for yourself. Because a woman grounded in her own worth is unstoppable. Before the noise begins, before the notifications, the expectations, and the rush of the day catch up with you, pause. Just pause. Take 5 deep, intentional breaths. Let the air fill your lungs and remind you you're alive and you matter. There's so much wisdom in stillness, but we miss it when we immediately reach for our phones or rush into doing. The world teaches you to run, to produce, to compete, to prove, but stillness, it invites you to return to yourself, because you're not a machine. You're a woman with a heart, a mind, a soul, and a story. Stillness is not laziness, it's power. When you begin your day grounded and quiet, you become rooted, and from those roots you grow strong. It may feel uncomfortable at first doing nothing, simply breathing, but over time that pause becomes your anchor. In stillness, you remember who you are before the world tells you who to be. You remember that your worth isn't tied to how much you do. It's inherent, unmoving, sacred. This small act, this habit of starting with stillness isn't just about comments about reclaiming your space in the world. Before you open yourself up to noise, opinions, comparisons, and demands, you choose to sit in silence and simply exist. And in doing so, you say to yourself, I'm worthy of this peace. I don't have to earn it. That message will carry you throughout the day. When challenges come, your calm will stay. When someone tries to shake your confidence, your grounding will remain. Stillness builds a quiet kind of strength, the kind that doesn't need to shout to be heard. And let's be honest, we live in a world that rarely rewards slowness. Everything's urgent, everything's pressing. But not everything deserves your immediate attention. Your soul does, your breath does, and every time you begin your day with stillness, you train your nervous system to feel safe and calm, rather than chaos. You remind yourself that rushing isn't your natural rhythm. It's what you've been conditioned to do, but you can choose differently. You can choose to start your day from the inside out instead of outside in. That single, silent moment in the morning becomes a soft revolution. Declaration that you belong to yourself first. This is not about perfection. You won't always remember. Some mornings will be loud, messy, anxious. That's okay. You can start again tomorrow. That's the grace of it. You don't have to master it. You just have to begin and begin again. Stillness is always waiting for you, not to fix you, but to meet you, right where you are. We've been taught, often without words, to look in the mirror and see flaws before we see beauty. We've learned to speak to ourselves with a tone we would never use on someone we love. Every woman knows what it's like to stand in front of a reflection and think she's not enough. Too much here, too little there, and the voice that whispers those things, it's not yours. You weren't born hating yourself. That voice was built over time, shaped by criticism, by comparison, by impossible standards. But here's the truth. You are allowed to change that voice. You are allowed to take it back. Speaking kindly to yourself is not vanity. It's not weakness. It's survival. Because the words you say in your head become the reality you live in. If you tell yourself you're unworthy, you will live like it's true. If you speak to yourself with love, even in the mess, you begin to see the beauty in your own becoming. Imagine for a moment if you spoke to yourself the way you speak to your best friend. Imagine offering yourself grace on the hard days, encouragement on the tired ones, and celebration when you do something brave. That's not self-indulgence. That's self-respect. That's healing. That's power. You don't have to earn the right to be spoken to kindly. You already deserve it. And yes, it may feel awkward at first. You might stand in front of the mirror and feel silly saying, I'm proud of you. Or you did your best, but keep doing it. Keep practicing, because that voice, the one you choose to use each day, becomes your default. And in time, it becomes your truth. Speaking kindly to yourself also means stopping the cycle of self-abuse when you make a mistake. You will fail, you will fall short, you will be imperfect, and thank God for that. Perfection is a myth. Authenticity is real. When you mess up, you can say, I didn't get it right today, but I'm still worthy of love. When you feel insecure, you can say, it's okay to feel this way, but I choose to treat myself with compassion anyway. That's courage. That's radical strength in a world that profits from your self-doubt. You are not broken. You are becoming, and your voice, your inner voice, can be the greatest source of strength or your most persistent critic. You get to decide, so choose love, choose kindness, choose a voice that holds you, lifts you, and reminds you daily. You are more than enough exactly as you are, even while growing. Your body is not an object to criticize, punish, or perfect. It is not a project in need of constant fixing. Your body is your home, the vessel that has carried you through joy, heartbreak, sickness, survival, and countless quiet victories that no one else even knows about. Every scar, stretch mark, wrinkle, and curve holds a story. And when you wake up each morning, the way you choose to treat that body sends a message, not just to the world, but to yourself. You get to decide whether that message is one of gratitude or judgment. Moving your body with gratitude is not about shrinking it or conforming to some unrealistic standard. It's about honoring it for everything it does for you daily, whether or not you acknowledge it. When you stretch your arms overhead or take a walk around the block, you're not just moving muscles. You're communicating with your body. You're saying thank you. Thank you for waking up, for breathing, for carrying me through anxiety, for showing up even when I've neglected you. So many women have been taught to only move when they want to lose weight, to only exercise when they're unhappy with their reflection. That's a lie. Movement is not punishment. It's celebration. It's coming home to yourself. Dance in your kitchen, stretch before bed, walk in the sunshine, or roll your shoulders to release the tension you've been holding all week. Let movement become a love letter to the parts of you that have endured the hardest moments and still haven't given up. There's no requirement for how it should look. It doesn't have to be pretty or perfect. You don't have to be flexible, coordinated, or strong. You just have to show up. You just have to move. Some days that might mean dancing like no one's watching. Other days, it might simply mean breathing deeply and lifting your arms slowly, gently, because that's all you can manage. Both are enough. Both are beautiful. Gratitude doesn't have to be loud. Sometimes it's found in the quiet moments, the small acts of care that whisper, you're worth this. And yes, there will be days when you look in the mirror and feel disconnected, when loving your body feels too far out of reach. That's okay. On those days, you don't have to fake it, but you can still move. You can still take one step, one breath, one stretch, and let that be your offering. Let that be your way of saying, I may not feel perfect, but I'm still showing up for myself. Gratitude grows with practice, and when you move your body with love instead of punishment, with respect instead of resentment, something changes. You begin to see your body not as a problem, but as a partner. Not as something you have to fight against, but something you get to cherish. Boundaries are not about being rude, distant, or selfish. They are about being clear, intentional, and respectful, first and foremost to yourself. Every time you say yes when you want to say no, a small piece of you gets chipped away. It may not show up immediately, but over time it begins to feel like resentment, exhaustion, burnout, and even shame. You find yourself wondering why you're always tired, why you feel invisible, or why your days feel like they belong to everyone else but you. That's what happens when we live without boundaries. We leak energy in every direction and wonder why we feel empty. But you don't have to live that way. You are allowed to set limits. You are allowed to speak up. You are allowed to protect your peace. Setting one boundary every day is not a big dramatic act. It can be small and simple. It might sound like, I'm not available tonight, or I need a few minutes to myself. or I'm not comfortable with that conversation. And every time you say it, you're not pushing others away. You're inviting yourself back into your own life, because every no you speak out loud is a quiet, powerful yes to your well-being. When you begin to practice this, you may feel guilt. That's normal. Most of us have been trained to equate self-sacrifice with goodness, but there's a difference between kindness and self-erasure. You can be loving and firm. You can be generous and discerning. You can be supportive without abandoning yourself. The people who truly love and respect you will not only accept your boundaries, they'll honor them, and those who don't, that's information. That tells you who is safe, who values you as a whole person, and who only wants access to you on their terms. Your boundaries are not about controlling others. They are about taking responsibility for your energy, your time, and your emotional safety. You are not here to be everything to everyone. You are not responsible for how others feel about your truth. You are only responsible for how honestly and respectfully you live it. Start small if you have to. Choose one area of your life where you feel depleted or overwhelmed. Ask yourself, what do I need here? What's one boundary I can set today that protects my energy without compromising my integrity? And then do it. Speak it, live it, enforce it. Over time, this becomes less about defense and more about design. You begin to design a life that reflects your values, your priorities, and your worth. You begin to feel safer in your own skin, more at home in your own life. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They are bridges that lead you back to yourself. And when you live from that place of clarity and self-respect, you don't have to scream to be heard. Your presence, your peace, your power, they speak for you. Doing one scary thing every day doesn't mean you have to leap off a cliff or speak in front of 1,000 people. It means choosing discomfort when it leads you closer to growth. It means recognizing that fear will always be there, but it doesn't have to be in charge. Every woman carries fear. Fear of being too much, not enough, being seen, being misunderstood. Failing, succeeding, and yet, within all that fear, there is also this quiet knowing that you are capable of more. Doing one scary thing each day is how you stop letting fear decide the direction of your life. It doesn't have to be huge. It can be as simple as raising your hand in a meeting, saying what you really think instead of what's expected, applying for something you think you're not qualified for, or telling someone how you truly feel. These acts are small in action but massive in impact, because they start to shift the story you've been telling yourself. Courage doesn't mean the fear goes away. Courage means you choose to act even while afraid. It means fear is present, but your values speak louder. Fear might say, "What if you fail?" And courage answers, "But what if I grow?" This one habit, doing something scary each day, is how confidence is built. Not by waiting until you're ready, but by doing the thing before you feel prepared and proving to yourself that you can survive the discomfort. Every time you act in the presence of fear, you strengthen your trust in yourself. You start to believe, not because someone told you, but because you lived it. I can do hard things. I can be afraid and keep moving. That belief doesn't just stay with you. It follows you into every area of your life. You'll notice how your self-respect rises when you speak up yourself, even if your voice shakes. You'll feel the pride of starting that side project even when doubt tried to stop you. You'll start to crave growth more than comfort, because growth starts to feel like coming alive. Not every scary thing will work out perfectly. Some will end in awkwardness, rejection, or failure. But even then, you gain something far more powerful than a perfect outcome. You gain evidence that you showed up anyway. And the woman who keeps showing up again and again, despite the fear, she becomes unstoppable. Doing one scary thing each day isn't about being fearless. It's about being brave enough to show up for yourself. It's about proving daily that you won't let fear be the loudest voice in your life. So when the opportunity comes and you feel the nerves rise, the hesitation creep in, pause, breathe, and remind yourself. Fear is just a signal that this matters, and when something matters that much, it's worth doing scared. We live in a world that constantly pulls our attention outward. Endless scrolling, constant updates, comparison traps, and content overload have become a normal part of daily life. But in all this noise, we forget something important. You were not born to consume, you were born to create. You were born to bring something new into the world, something that didn't exist before you imagined it, something touched by your hands, your voice, your spirit. Consuming has its place. It can inspire, inform, entertain. But when it takes over, when you spend hours watching other people's lives instead of living your own, it slowly begins to numb your spirit. You don't need more content. You need more connection with yourself, with your gifts, with your creativity. And the truth is, you already have what you need. There's something inside you waiting to be expressed. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't even have to be seen. It just has to be yours. Creating doesn't mean you have to be a professional artist or a best-selling author. It means you let your imagination move into form. It could be a journal entry that helps you make sense of a hard day. It could be a homemade meal that reminds you of your grandmother's kitchen. It could be a sketch, a song, a poem, a garden, a plan, a voice message, a vision board, a dance in your living room. The form doesn't matter. The act of creating is what heals. When you make something, you tell your brain and your heart, I'm not just here to take in the world. I'm here to shape it. You reclaim your sense of power, your identity as someone who contributes, not just consumes. It doesn't have to be grand or groundbreaking. What matters is that it's honest. The world doesn't need more perfection. It needs more people who are willing to be real. Every time you choose to create instead of scroll, you're choosing presence. You're choosing intentionality. You're choosing to be an active participant in your own life. And slowly, you begin to build a world where your voice matters, where your hands create beauty, where your ideas take shape and remind you that you are not invisible. You are a maker, a thinker, a feeler. This is how you come back to life, not by watching others live theirs, but by stepping into your own. There is something deeply healing about putting your phone down, taking a deep breath, and picking up a pen, a paintbrush, a recipe, a camera, or even just a blank piece of paper. Creation is your birthright. You don't need permission. You just need a moment of courage to begin. So the next time you feel the pull to scroll mindlessly, ask yourself, what could I make instead? What could I build that reflects who I am, not just what I've seen? You don't have to be perfect to begin. You just have to be willing. We spend so much of our time trying to be seen. Seen online, seen at work, seen in social settings, hoping that more visibility will somehow fill the spaces inside us that feel unseen. We chase connection in numbers. More likes, more followers, more attention. But deep down, what we're truly craving isn't quantity, it's depth. It's that sacred feeling of being truly known by someone, not for our highlight reel or curated image, but for our messy, real, unfiltered selves. And the truth is, you don't need a crowd to feel loved. You need one or two people who see you as you are and love you anyway. The kind of connection that allows you to breathe a little deeper, speak a little more freely, and rest in the safety of being fully understood. When life gets loud and overwhelming, it's not the hundreds of names in your contact list that will bring you back. It's the few who know your silence, who notice the tremble in your voice, who remember the way you sounded when you were happy. These are the people you return to, the ones who don't need you to perform, fix, or impress, the ones who hold space for you when you're not okay, and yet sometimes we forget to reach out. We get so caught up in maintaining appearances and staying busy that we neglect the very relationships that sustain us. But those deep connections don't maintain themselves. They need intention. They need tenderness. They need effort. It's not about grand gestures. It's the text that says, I'm thinking of you. The voice note with no filter, the call where you don't talk about anything important but still hang up feeling lighter. Connection is built in the small, quiet moments of honesty. When you say, I'm not okay right now, and someone responds, I've got you. When you stop pretending everything's fine and instead let yourself cry on someone's shoulder. When you let yourself be held, literally or emotionally, without shame. You don't have to be strong all the time. In fact, some of the deepest bonds are formed in the softness, in the moments where you let yourself be seen at your most vulnerable. That's where intimacy lives, not in the perfectly lit photos or clever captions, but in the raw, unfiltered exchanges that remind you you're not alone. So forget followers for a moment. Forget the need to be known by everyone. Focus on the few who make you feel safe, grounded, and real. Those are your people. Invest in them. Call your sister. Hug your mom. Send the text you've been meaning to send. Sit across from someone who knows you and let the silence speak. That is the kind of connection that holds you up when everything else feels like it's falling apart. You don't need more eyes on you. You need more hearts beside you. You are not here to carry everything on your own. Somewhere along the way, many women were taught that strength means silence, that resilience means never asking for help, and that being good means meeting everyone's needs before ever acknowledging their own. But the truth is, your needs are not inconvenient, selfish, or too much. They are human. You are allowed to ask for help without guilt. You are allowed to say, I can't do this alone. You are allowed to be soft in a world that often demands you be hard just to survive. There is no weakness in needing rest, support, understanding, or kindness. In fact, the ability to name your needs and ask for what you deserve is one of the most powerful things you can do. It says, I matter too. It says, my energy and peace are worth protecting. And it begins the healing process of unlearning the belief that you only have value when you're giving everything to others. It's okay if asking feels uncomfortable at first. Many of us were raised to apologize for taking up space, for needing anything, even for feeling tired. We were taught to keep going until we burned out, to smile through the stress, to hold everything together for everyone else. But what if strength looked different? What if real strength was being able to pause and say, this is too much for me right now? What if it meant giving yourself permission to rest before your body forces you to? Asking for what you need doesn't make you less worthy. It means you're living more honestly. It means you trust yourself enough to speak your truth, even if your voice shakes. It means you're not willing to abandon yourself just to keep others comfortable. When you ask for what you need, you model something brave and beautiful for the people around you. You show them it's safe to be human. You create space for deeper connection because you're no longer hiding behind perfection or pretending everything's fine. You invite others to show up for you, not because you're incapable, but because we are all wired for community, for support, for love. And in return, you create a life where care flows both ways, where you are not just the giver but also the receiver. You don't have to do it all. You don't have to prove your worth by how much you can handle. Your worth is already inherent, already complete. So ask for a break, ask for clarity, ask for space, ask for encouragement, ask for someone to sit beside you in the quiet, and know that needing something is not a flaw. It's a sign you're listening to yourself. The more you honor your needs, the more you step into a life that is whole, balanced, and truly yours. Let your voice rise, not only to speak for others, but to finally speak for yourself. You will make mistakes. You will fall short. You will say the wrong thing, forget something important, let someone down, or let yourself down. That's not a sign of failure. That's a sign you are human. Perfection was never the goal. It was never required of you. And yet, so many women carry the weight of their own past with shame, so heavy it makes breathing hard. Every day you live without forgiving yourself is a day you deny yourself the freedom to begin again. You were not meant to carry guilt like it's a badge of honor. You were meant to grow, and growth always includes missteps, messy chapters, and lessons learned the hard way. Forgiving yourself daily isn't weakness, it's resilience. It's choosing to be on your own side instead of turning against yourself every time you fall. You don't need to wait until you've done everything right to give yourself compassion. Compassion is how you get through the hard things. It's how you become someone stronger, softer, wiser. There's something powerful about waking up each morning and deciding to treat yourself with tenderness, even when you're disappointed in your choices. It's standing in front of the mirror, looking into your own eyes and saying, I'm still learning. I'm still worthy. I'm still here. Because you are, you're still showing up. You're still growing into someone who knows better and chooses better, not because of shame, but because of love. Forgiveness doesn't erase what happened. It simply releases you from the need to punish yourself for it forever. You can carry the lesson without carrying the burden. You can move forward without pretending the pain never happened. You can heal without needing to be perfect. Some days, forgiving yourself will feel impossible. You'll want to replay the moment over and over, dissect every detail, ask yourself why you didn't know better, but what if, instead of asking, why did I do that, you asked, what was I needing in that moment? What was I afraid of? What was I trying to protect? Forgiveness grows when you understand your own heart, when you see not just what you did, but why you did it. That's where true healing begins, not in judgment, but in understanding. So start where you are. Take a deep breath, place your hand on your chest, and remind yourself that you are allowed to begin again. You are allowed to be a work in progress. You are allowed to have moments of regret and still live a life full of joy. Forgiving yourself is not a one-time act. It's a daily decision to choose love over shame, grace over guilt, softness over self-punishment. You don't have to be flawless to be worthy. You just have to be willing to try again with love. And that in itself is enough. Gratitude isn't about ignoring pain, pretending everything is perfect, or putting a shiny filter over life's hardest moments. It's not about saying you're fine when you're not, or making a list of blessings just to convince yourself things aren't as bad as they feel. Real gratitude doesn't ask you to deny your reality. It invites you to sit with it and still find something in the rubble that says, I'm still here, and somehow that's enough. Ending the day with gratitude is not about performance, it's about presence. It's about taking a moment to acknowledge what held you together when everything felt like it was falling apart. Some days, the only thing you can be grateful for is that you made it through, and that is more than enough. There is something incredibly powerful about whispering thank you into the silence, not because everything is okay, but because you chose not to give up on yourself. Gratitude in its truest form is humble, quiet, and rooted in honesty. It doesn't need a big stage or a perfect journal entry. It happens in the smallest, most sacred moments. The exhale after a long cry, the meal you didn't have the energy to cook but ate anyway, the call you finally returned, the fact that even in your exhaustion or grief or loneliness, you showed up for your own life. That kind of gratitude isn't just spiritual, it's survival. It's recognizing that life is not all light and still choosing to seek it out in the cracks. When you train yourself to notice what's still working, still breathing, still holding, you begin to rewire your brain to make space for hope. And hope is what carries you forward when certainty cannot. You don't need to be grateful instead of feeling pain. You can be grateful alongside it. You can say, this was hard, and I'm still thankful for the friend who checked in. You can say, I cried all afternoon, but I'm grateful I let myself feel. Gratitude does not minimize your suffering. It coexists with it. Reminds you that even in the worst moments, something soft can remain. Even the act of sitting down at the end of the day and asking, what helped me today, is enough. It doesn't have to be profound. Sometimes it's a warm cup of tea, a deep breath, a stranger's smile, the sound of your own heartbeat reminding you that you're still alive. Gratitude is not a finish line you arrive at. It's a practice, a lens, a posture. It's something you build over time, especially on the days when you feel like you have nothing left to give. Ending the day with gratitude isn't about being cheerful, it's about being real. It's a way of saying to yourself, even in all this, I still see the light. Even in all this, I choose to keep going. And some days, that quiet choice is the most courageous thing you can do.